Do you see any parallels with that and the center, the Islamic center that will be built probably in New York City, and the big controversy that took place there? It seemed like a pretty innocuous effort, very culturally enlightened, promoting good communication and dialogue between Jews, Christians, and Arabs. And yet there's also a certain amount of complexity around that issue as well.
This was the mosque they wanted to build right at 9/11, or a few blocks, and the building that they wanted to make into a mosque was actually damaged by the airplane, by the wheels of the airplane that fell off on the 9/11 attack. So it was here. And many people felt that this was not simply a way to make peace, but this was a statement. Because in Islamic history, every time they conquer a place, they put a mosque. Wherever there was a church, they destroy the church, or they rebuild the church, or reform the church into a mosque. So this
unfortunately, Christians did the same thing.
Yeah, yes, admit. Okay, you know, it's maybe. Yeah, but they're not doing it right now.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. They're not doing it right now. So, so people thought that this was a kind of a statement that we won the war. Ha ha ha. And you can imagine postcards of this new mosque at 9/11 around the Muslim world would be seen as conquest. So that was the, and the people who objected to that mosque did not object to mosques being built in other places. It was just here. So it was complex.
Well, winding up, coming to a close.
Just one more thing. Yeah, I do believe that most American Muslims are moderate and nice people and want to be Americans, but the danger here is that the leadership, very well funded, just like in Egypt, just like we said in Egypt, and that the leadership is very well funded and very smart and has a plan and has a program, and they're the ones who call the shots.
What do you see for yourself in the next few months in terms of your own activity? I know that you're pursuing the filming of, you want to produce a film regarding this event where a young African-American military man assassinated another military person, indoctrinated by Islamic influence and so on. And that really hasn't gotten a lot of publicity out here in America, and you're working on that.
The story is tragic. There's a black Baptist family in the South, in Tennessee, who had a young boy named Carlos Bledsoe, and Carlos was sent by his parents off to Tennessee State University, where he was converted to Islam, a radical brand of Islam, it would seem. Then they sent him to Yemen for a year of training, where he learned how to be a jihad warrior. And he came back, firebombed a rabbi's house. Luckily, the rabbi wasn't there. And then, this is a true story, murdered a U.S. Army recruiter named of Andy Long. And then said, I did it for Allah. He's justified it. He said, this is Islamically justified. Okay. I found the two fathers, the black man who lost his son to jihad, and the white man who lost his son to being murdered. And we made a film, and the film will be out in about a month. And it's and we also brought both of those fathers to the U.S. Congress on hearings about homegrown terrorism.
How do you propose to distribute that film?
That's the hard thing, because it's politically incorrect, right? It's not going to be on CNN. It's not going to be in... So we have many ways of doing it. We're going to be distributing it through churches and military organizations and groups who care about it, and we'll rent theaters and we'll give it to churches to
well,
show.
There's a concrete way that there can be collaboration. I think that kind of film should be shown in our churches.
Right. And the point of all this is to encourage, and on our film are the moderate Muslims standing up saying, why is no one helping us, the moderates, overcome the radical leadership? And that's, I think, the most important thing that can happen.
Words of hope as we finish here. What gives you hope that our efforts need to continue, that they can find the right ears, and that perhaps we can prevail in bringing more illumination to the dialogue here in America regarding all of these issues that we have discussed.
So before the hope, I just want to give you the worry. My worry is, and this is a strange thing coming from a Jewish fellow, my worry is about Christianity. My worry is that you, like us, are being ground down by the forces of secularism and modernity.
It's a concern.
And are you going to be able to keep your children as faithful people in the Judeo-Christian heritage? When we have all of this awful stuff, the pornography and the secularism and and the government coming down against us. So, I mean, that's my worry. I see European Christianity crumbling. Europeans and Christians don't make babies anymore in Europe, and they're being swamped by immigration from Muslim lands. There are more Muslims who go to church, to mosque in England on any week than Christians who go to church in England. Okay,
by a huge amount, I'm sure.
So it's a strange thing coming from a Jew, but my hope is that Christianity like yours maintains its strength, and through people like you, it can, and grows, and you don't lose your children. And I have hope in that. I have hope in that because this other stuff. What are we going to become? Neo-pagans? The alternative is horrible. We see it in drugs and sex and awfulness. So my hope is there's a religious revival, both among my people and yours, and that we can live under God like we should, and strengthen ourselves and each other and be brothers.
Well, there we have it. I think it's a wonderful way to end our conversation, Charles. Thank you so much for being with me, and I do hope that this is one of other encounters that I can have in the future, because I think your perspective, so complex, so nuanced, so rich in terms of its involvement in so many different fronts, needs to come out there and be heard. So I myself am enriched by our conversation. Thank you so much for all the incredible, courageous work that you do. Thank you for having the courage to even challenge your own community and to step outside of the mold and see the possibilities of collaboration with Christians as well. We're honored in that partnership, and I do hope that this conversation really goes far and that it can be heard by many, and that this complexity of the viewpoints that you have expressed can truly be appreciated. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And this is Roberto Miranda. Looking forward to the next time that we come together. God bless you, and till we see each other again. Take good care. Thank you for tuning in.